and share with you about dancing on emotional razor blades and how to help you get away from that. In my years of experience weaving between past lives, inner child, ancestral, inner child, between lives, everything, what I figured out is that at the moment so many people are what I will call dancing on emotional razor blades. I'm in the countryside at the moment. I'm going to show you Glastonbury Tor. Can you see Glastonbury Tor in the distance? The heart of Avalon. So let's get back to talking about dancing on emotional razor blades. What do I mean by that? When we don't want to process our emotional stuff, we think that it's safer to shove it in the cupboard. But what we're doing really, we're not shoving it in the cupboard. We're just dancing on these emotional razor blades, and it's more painful doing that than actually going within and healing it. And a lot of the time we don't know how to heal it on our own. And a lot of times, sometimes people, I see clients, I help people process emotional stuff because I have the ability to read the emotional Akashic records of your soul and help you unravel this. But even in some clients I see, it's like, they're like, thanks, I can go away and process it on my own. And it's like, no, we can process it right here, right now. And even in the unveiling of the trauma, they still don't want to go in and process it because there's all this other emotion linked to it, guilt, shame. And sometimes what you find is people want to portray themselves, even to the therapist, as somebody who's healed. Yet it's odd because they're reaching out for your help. And then sometimes they portray it as if you're their friend, but you're actually really there to help them as the therapist. And so it's when we dance on these emotional razor blades. The other thing that happens is when you know somebody who is stuck, it's like you have to tread on eggshells around them just to pander to them. And you might be the one, having experienced it myself, you've heard me talk about losing my parents, nursing them with dementia. My dad didn't have dementia, but my mum did. And then my dad being old and doing this all on my own. I still found, even in the midst of my immediate grief of losing my parents, which was only a few months ago, I still was having to pander to other people who were more fragile than I was. People projecting all their stuff at you, like, oh, I wish I was an only child. I wish I'd been able to root through my parents' stuff all on my own without my sibling interfering. So it's oh, I wish I'd inherited my parents' house. I wish I didn't have to shout, oh, you're so lucky. Instead of actually seeing, I'm grieving, please stop projecting onto me. But this is because people dance on emotional razor blades. They don't deal with their stuff. And sometimes when you're exhausted and grieving yourself, you pander to their eggshells because you don't want the backlash of you highlighting to them, actually, in this immediate moment of now, you could be kinder, you could be nice to me instead of being passive aggressive. So when we dance on our own emotional razor blades, we need to witness ourselves. We need to witness where we're prickly, we're judgmental, we're jealous. So many people are jealous of people, and it's really, it's like thinking the garden is greener elsewhere, constantly thinking else is having an easier time than you, projecting onto them how you think their life has been, when you really know nothing about them other than the superficiality of how they appear to you in that moment, jealous of so much stuff. And it's lovely when you can hang out with somebody, as I did with this morning, a dear, beautiful friend who's going through a challenging time, on many, many levels, but still a gracious being, still in their heart, still a lovely soul, and they're also therapists helping other people. And when you have these beautiful people to see that energy against about other people who are really, in this, what I would call Madame Defarge energy, sometimes it can come from men as well, I've seen it with men where their wounding is deep. They're holding on to things that, you know, they could have processed years ago. You cannot hold on to this bitterness and resentment. Where we're going now as a planet, as a species on a planet, there is nowhere where you can hold on to these barnacles of your soul, is what I would call it, the barnacles of your soul. You've really got to release the barnacles. I mean, I made a video the other day about what happened to me. I woke up on Sunday and I literally could not move. I was paralyzed by some emotional trauma that had come up. And I had to process what that was to be able to be bouncing around like Tigger again. And it was too much detail maybe to go into now. I have gone into it in another video, but it's like you've got to process that so your body can move. You know, sometimes your body can move, but the bitterness and resentment that you hold towards someone else means you can't hold a space to be gracious and kind for that person, because you're too busy in your own pain, your own wounding. And sometimes the jealousy, you know, when someone's grieving the loss of a loved one and you can't hold space to be kind in that moment, you know, all you can be is cruel and mean. And I can witness that cruelness and that meanness in people. And there's a lack of empathy, there's a lack of compassion. They're just self-absorbed in their own victim story, and the victim story will have you dancing on the razor blades and feeling like, you know, and they become the wounded child. You know, the wounded child is everybody's, I'm not getting what I want, that she's got a prettier dress than me, she's got a Barbie doll I don't have. But you're a 40, 50, 60-year-old woman, yet you're acting in jealousy to somebody else who's, in your perception, perceived to be having more than you, whether it's financial, whether it's, you know, physical support, whether it's a home, whether it's a car, whatever it is. This is ridiculous. We cannot dance to your wounding anymore. You know, we're going to have to call it out for what it is. I'm going to see some messages. Wait 1 second, because I feel that since we have a lot of Wi-Fi, sorry, these glasses are really going to look a bit smudgy and dirty, but they're blue blocker glasses. And they do help to see the screen a little bit. But because I'm doing an impromptu in the car in Glastonbury area, let me just see. Thank you. I think you're heavy pockets. I once served my neighbour's ice cream I made with, oh dear, yeah. I think you need to go bye-byes, because you're not funny and you're not amusing. And you know what? It might be funny, but I don't think it's appropriate for my post. You can post away all you want, but we'll be ignoring you. So I send you love, and you obviously need some inner work doing, bless your soul. So back to where we're at. I'm in Glastonbury at the moment. In all this past life stuff, sometimes it's the past life stuff that is easier to process, easier to look at. Even the ancestral stuff can be easier than actually looking at our wounding, our womb trauma, our inner child trauma. And we can see it sometimes in others easier than we can see it ourselves. You know, the petulant child, you know, there's someone else I've noticed just now, you know, she wants to be friends with these girls, but these girls don't want to be friends. And, you know, she's not letting it go. She's allowing it to hurt her. And it's not about who's right or who's wrong. It's the fact that I see that you're in pain. I see that you're in suffering because somebody won't, the mean girls in your reality are being mean to you, when maybe they're not being mean. Maybe they just moved on to their own reality. So sometimes we perceive hurts where there really isn't any intention to be hurtful. And I think also we have to be in this graceful, gracious period right now of, you know, your truth exists, my truth exists, there is a middle ground, you know. There's the great, I think is it Cahill Gibran who said there's a field, I'll meet you there, between any right doing and wrongdoing, there's a field, I'll meet you there. I love that saying. That allows room for all our truths, all our wounding.